I didn't think there was any way it was going to work with Carrie.
She did well through the distractions, and I felt like she was doing pretty well at that stage, but then I was pretty confident that when somebody actually came to the door that it wasn't going to work. We had a UPS delivery come to the door, and Carrie and I had been practicing without anybody at the door, and she'd been doing really well. And so there was a knock at the door, and I thought, well, I'll just try it and go for it. And so I told her to place. She got on the mat. I opened the door, and it was the UPS delivery man, and I was able to have a quick conversation and take the delivery with her staying on the mat.
Recommended daily practice, 2 10-minute guest visits per day, or as many as possible. The more you practice, the quicker your dog will learn. Most importantly, you must require your dog to behave for all visits, or he'll be confused as to which way he should act. At this point, you can keep the treat and train and rug down at all times. In fact, it's better to have it down at all times so that your dog doesn't learn that bringing the two out means someone's coming to the door. Place the rug in a location that allows your dog to see the visitor when you open the door, but that also allows you to easily block your dog's access to the door if he gets up. It's best to start with the rug closer to the door and then move it farther away later if you decide to change the location. In general, training goes faster if you place the rug in a spot that's on your dog's way to the door. If you have more than one dog that's misbehaved at the door, make sure only the dog in training is out during the early guest visits. You'll add the other dogs later on. So here's what you do. When the doorbell rings, tell your dog to place. Ideally he places, and then you dispense treats every 3 seconds. If he doesn't place, you can stand near his rug, call him over, and then tell him to place, like so.
Bailey, come! Good boy, place! Good dog! Good boy.
Review the chapter on Come When Called if needed. Alternatively, you can walk to the door and block him from standing near the door and just wait for him to place on his own. Callie's not really ready for this step because for the purpose of this video, we skipped the chapter on placing. That's why I help her by stepping towards her to push her back towards the rug. Once your dog is lying down on his rug, start dispensing treats every 3 seconds or faster if needed, and then go to the door and answer. The goal is to give treats quickly enough so that your dog doesn't get up and so that he doesn't bark. If your dog follows you to the door or gets up as soon as he sees you start to open the door, either close the door and wait or block him from getting to the door. The first few times you may have to wait 20 or 30 seconds, and if you're inconsistent, you'll have to wait longer. If you've worked on the Say Please by Sitting exercises and the rewarding calm behavior exercises, he'll know the routine. He'll realize that he's not going to get to see the visitor until he sits or lies down politely, and then he'll choose to lie down and wait at the rug where he gets treats while waiting. If your visitor is in a hurry, you can repeat the cue word 1 time after your dog waits for about 5 seconds. If that doesn't work, walk him back to the rug.
Matt?
It's a good idea to tell your guests ahead of time that you might be closing the door on them.
Hello. Hi.
girl. Good girl. Hello.
Of these three methods, blocking is the one that you'll undoubtedly have to use at some point. It requires that you watch your dog so he doesn't slip by when your back's turned. Here's the correct way. Blocking also requires good timing and coordination. If your timing's off, your dog will continue trying to get by you because he knows he can sometimes outmaneuver you.
Callie, place. 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 Place, Callie. Hey, neighbor. Whoa! Callie, place.
Here's BJ again.
Place.
This time he
Callie,
outmaneuvers
Hey,
Callie
neighbor,
and
what's
she
up?
sits
We're
politely.
doing a little training here, training.
BJ should then
Callie, get in the
respond by
house.
standing stationary. When he continues moving around and repeating commands, Callie gets confused and
Someone
doesn't
said
go
I
to
couldn't
her
do this very
rug.
well, but
Now
I've been
see-
practicing.
Now tell her to place and see what
Place.
it
Callie, place. Callie.
is. Now walk towards her.
If you repeat the place command and your dog doesn't respond, you should walk your dog back to the rug so that she doesn't learn to ignore the cue. Here's a review of how it looks when you block correctly. Callie knows from experience that she can't get past me, so when I block her here, she backs off and goes to her rug. Another trick is to block your dog's path so that he has to run directly onto the rug and never has a chance to get to the door. This narrow doorway is ideal for doorway training because it's easy to guide dogs onto their rug. Once your dog's lying down on his rug, be sure to start with the treats coming every 3 seconds or faster if needed, so that your dog remains quietly on his rug, and have your guests stay outside at first. If your dog does not look relaxed after a minute, then have your guest leave and return a few minutes later to repeat the door procedure. Continue practicing these 1-minute sessions with guests remaining outside until your dog relaxes and focuses more on the food than on the guest. This can take as little as one trial, or it may take multiple guest visits over a number of days. Since the trials are short, each visitor can make as many as 5 or more visits during one training session. Dogs learn this step quickest if they know that they can't get by you to reach the visitor, and if you've worked on rewarding calm behavior. Once your dog starts to relax with guests outside with treats coming frequently, you can have the guests come in. Although this dog stays her first time, you should expect your dog to get up in the early practices if he really likes attention from people. When he does, just block his access to the visitor and make sure the visitor doesn't reward him by petting him. Guests are only allowed to pet your dog and to pay attention to your dog when he's lying down on his rug. As before, each visitor should leave and come back multiple times during the 10-minute training session. When your dog is consistent with treats coming frequently, you can gradually slow the treat rate down in subsequent trials. The treat rate may vary depending on the time of day and the type of visitor. Also, the better you are and the more consistent you are at blocking your dog, the fewer treats you'll need, because your dog will understand that he can't get to the visitor unless he does what you want, which is to stay lying on his rug. Here's Ringo again. He and his owner are doing well, but he'll get up once. When cutting back on treats, it's still okay to dispense treats more frequently right before you think your dog might get up in order to keep him lying down. If your dog does get up frequently, pay attention to what you're training, or you may accidentally train your dog to misbehave like this owner did.
She would be on her blanket and she would get her treats. As soon as she'd get back down, I'd give her a treat to reward her for getting back down. Well, over time, what she started doing is as I decreased the treats and extended the amount of time that she was supposed to be laying still, if she wanted a treat, she would get up and get back down, and I'd give her a treat. And she'd get up and get back down, and I'd give her a treat. And essentially, I trained her that if she wanted a treat, she just needed to stand up and get back down real quick.
Good girl. Hi, how are you?
If after 1 or 2 sessions your dog still gets up and lies down frequently, and you're blocking well, and you're being consistent, Stop giving treats altogether after he gets up and just work on blocking him so he can't get to the door or guest. Then make sure he stays on his rug for at least 20 to 30 seconds before he gets any reward.
Good girl.
Sometimes it's easier to train your dog than your guests.
No, he's not supposed to jump up. He could just stand up. You can just stand up, PJ.
If certain guests are a nuisance to your training program, you can always put your dog away when these guests come over so that they can't reward your dog for impolite door behavior. Or you can resort to other tactics.
Hey, it's me! Oh!
That was a simple one. Here are two more devious tactics.
Especially him, he jumps all over the person, and if you're male, sometimes it hits you in areas that you don't want to be hit with his little paws. Hey BJ, come on in.
Hey,
How are you?
pretty good. How you doing?
Good, you ready to go?
Yeah.
Alrighty, I'm excited. Let me go grab my clubs.
All right.
Don't let Bailey jump on you, okay?
Okay. Oh, hey, Bailey. How you doing? Oh, good boy. Ow! Oh!
Come in.
Hey, Callie, how you doing? On alert!
Realistically, most visitors will cooperate with you if you just tell them, "My dog's in training, can you stand completely still and ignore him until he's lying down on his rug?" The key words here are, "he's in training." Then instruct them on how to interact with your dog.
Good boy, dear. Good boy. Hey BJ, come on in.
How's it going? I
Good
heard
to
your
see you.
ferocious pup there.
Oh yes, he's actually going for his polite at the door certificate. So if you would do me a favor, if he jumps on you, just ignore him. Stand up and ignore him.
Yeah, sure.
And only pet him when he's laying down.
Going pretty
boy,
good.
Bailey. Yeah, he's doing really well. He's a hero dog.
For guests who do want to help you, once your dog's lying on his rug, they can pet him as long as he remains lying down. Remember to reward your guests for good behavior as well as your dog.
Actually, you're doing a really good job too. That's
Oh.
a treat for you.
Thanks. Like a little rub?
Good boy, Bailey.
Place. Good girl.
Here's Sunny again.
Hello. How are you?
Good.
Good girl. Train your dogs. When you come in, if you can just kind of stand here for a second, and as long as she stays laying down, you can pet her. But if she gets up, then
Okay,
you
then I
just
need to stop. Okay.
Yeah, that'd be great. Thanks.
Sure. All right.
Appreciate your help.
As soon as he starts to get up, the guest should stand up straight and ignore him. Most guests will do this incorrectly the first time, so you'll probably have to demonstrate.
If you can stop petting her, stand up straight away, and then don't pet her again until she lays back down.
This owner should be rewarding more frequently at this stage of training. Doing so would have prevented the earlier bout of barking and would also have kept Sunny lying down.
What's her name?
Set. Up. Down. Yeah, go ahead and pet her, but only if she's laying down on the mat. If she gets up, then stand up.
Next, the guest demonstrates better timing. As soon as Sunny makes a move to get up, he stands up straight, and Sunny responds by lying down.
Huh? Hi, Sunny. Good girl. Good girl.
Here's another dog, Casey. Remember to dispense treats rapidly in the early sessions, and expect your dog to get up, especially if he loves attention from guests.
Hi, BJ.
Hey.
Well, I'm working with this dog to be polite at the door. So,
Casey's doing really well, considering he's only practiced with the Treat&Train one time in the last 7 months. And while I practiced the rewarding calm behavior with him 7 months ago, his owner hasn't practiced it yet. It's also Casey's first session at the door.
down. So if he tries to get to you, I'm going to block him, and I'll just have you ignore him.
If I had treats coming more frequently, he'd be doing even better.
Okay, and then you can pet him this.
Okay.
But if he gets up, if I'm going to stand in front and block him, if he gets up, stand straight. If he starts to get up, stand straight. Oh, right there.
Here's his second trial of the day. This time he only gets up once, so he's already improving.
Place. So you can pet him if he lies down and then stand up straight. There. Down.
Remember, if you've worked hard on rewarding calm behavior, even the most energetic attention-seeking dog will stay lying down, because he'll know that even when maximally excited, the only way he gets petted is if he's lying down.
I'm going to get him really excited and see if he'll still stay down.
Okay.
Okay. How you doing? What a dog! Good boy! What a dog! All right, good dog.
1, 2, 1, 2, 3, 4.
Once your one dog in training is good on his own at the door, you can add the other dogs. But if these dogs have a history of being misbehaved at the door, you should have them sit politely for treats when guests arrive, so that you're able to answer the door and so that they provide a low level of distraction at first.
Place. Place.
Another option is to just put the second dog on a leash so that he can't dart out the door. Once the other dogs go through the program too, you'll be able to place all at the same time. Here's Zoe and Maggie placing together for the first time. Zoe's the experienced one, and Maggie, the Scotties, only had 1 or 2 practice sessions at the door. Notice that Maggie gets a few barks off. I should have dispensed treats more frequently to prevent her from barking. Then once she gets the routine, I could give treats less frequently. Now that you've come this far, you and your friends have probably seen a tremendous improvement in your dog's behavior, and even in your dog's overall attitude. Remember to continue playing the games on a regular basis. For your dog, it's 10 to 20 minutes of quality playtime. And most of all, remember that every time you interact with your dog, you're learning something and your dog's learning something. Hopefully most of the time, you're both learning the right things.